Hi everyone, my name is Noah Royale. I'm here with
AfricaUSARadio.com, home of African Gospel. Ekaya Beat.
Welcome to another episode of Divine Calling Unleashed here at Africa USA Radio. I'm your host, Noah Royale, and today on this episode, we're going to be diving through the journey of one of the business and media mogul, born and raised in California in the United States of America. He goes by the name of Kellen Coleman. He is a fixer, he's a strategic advisor, he's a licensed sport agent. Chief, how are you?
I am blessed by the best. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm fabulous. Thank you for actually bracing us with your presence.
Mia bonga.
Bonga mina. So tell me about growing up, your background growing up in California, Oakland. How was it? And then what is the part of it that has made you the man that you are today?
Growing up in Oakland is a mix of everything. You have all cultures. Everybody, when I was growing up, was together. So I had babysitters who, I would stay with. They would be in mixed homes where it would be black, it would be Hispanic. Everything was mixed. California is a melting pot of everything. So you just grow up kind of learning everyone's culture. So even if you haven't traveled, you've traveled because you have, Filipino, you have, Chinese here. And don't ever confuse an egg roll and lumpia, or that could be a fight in between both cultures.
Wait, egg roll and lumpia.
And lumpia, lumpia is Filipino, and it's a very tight, looks like a spring roll, but the type of meat, lumpia is my favorite because the meat, that tastefulness, it packs a punch.
Yeah.
Egg roll is good, but everyone has their preference. So it's just a melting pot of just culture and history from, prior to civil rights to after civil rights. And to me, it's just a big, we call it like a gumbo of flavor and culture.
So is it still diverse at this kind of age?
Yeah, California is one of those places where to see Black and Asian marry, to see black and white, to see just anybody. You can be anything in California. You could probably be a dog if you wanted to be a dog. If you want to, and nobody's going to bother you. Yeah. It's just one of those places where it's very liberal, and that helped me just kind of be able to see the world through various lenses.
Can you share your journey and how you transitioned into becoming a fixer, a strategic advisor, licensed sports agent? How do you manage all of this?
I wanted to do this at 12. So what do we always hear if you grew up in church and you hear the scriptures? You write the vision down and you make it plain. I made it so plain that I had it written down because I had nothing else. I didn't know anybody to do this. I just know that behind the scenes, you could create a career, have just this powerful world versus being in front of the camera. Sometimes, one, you have to be very, very lucky. Two, it only lasts sometimes for so long. Yeah. So this is decades of work, putting in the work to say, this is what I want to do. So I started as a journalist with a magazine called Explosive Magazine. I got kicked out of a school for not being able to pay the bill. And I found this magazine having to go back from, United States is big. So I had to go back from Kansas to California. I pick up this magazine. The next day, I'm inside of a Barnes & Nobles, and I call the owner of the magazine. And I go visit him, and I'm getting paid in CDs. Not even any payment, but I'm getting an opportunity. And that's the part that I like to tell people, don't ever just, turn down small beginnings, because just to be paid in music, and then shortly after I was going back to another university, and I was the distributor of the magazine. I was the writer. I had much value. You and I, we talk about value and just doing and just having a good time. And I tell people, if you have a dream, just keep pushing, get better 1%. That's what the old saying. If you get better 1% every day, you'll be in a position where, they give you kind words and call you nice things that I don't even call myself that. I just call myself someone who's doing.
Someone keeps on doing great things. So I just want to dive deep into what you said. You said you were kicked out.
I was kicked
What
out.
did you do?
No, it's not what I did. It's that sometimes you might have trouble at home. And sometimes, if people at home are deciding to split and or hard times are coming on, things happen. And many people have had it where, their school fees aren't paid.
Yeah.
There's people in primary school right now, their school fees aren't paid. So for me, it was just a learning lesson because I was a grown person. I was 18. I could afford to have those stumbling blocks, but I can't blame anyone because things happen in life. So it's not what I did. It's just one of those things that happen.
Yeah. Okay, so what inspired you to specialize in business strategy development, and how do you approach this aspect of your work?
So much of what I do, I know what I wanted to do. How do you get there? Only God knows.
Oh, yeah.
And so I started writing, the distributing, taking photos and just kind of doing everything that I could get my hands on. You almost don't say no to a project because you just love doing it. And then magazine game stopped completely. I was probably writing for half a dozen or more magazines, just trying to, have money to pay bills while in uni. And everything stopped. And I said, what am I going to do? And I went on a press junket with Cash Money Records one time. And I'm sitting with Vicki Charles. And I said, Vicki, she was the senior publicist at Universal. I said, I like your job. She gave me some tidbits of what to do, what not to do, and I just started becoming a publicist. Being nosy, writing for different magazines. One day I'm doing PR after university, many years after university, and one of my team members, Raru, she said, Kellen, you don't even do PR like that. Yeah. You are giving people advice. You are doing PR, but you're doing way more than what a typical publicist did. And I said, oh, what should I call myself? She's like, you're a consultant, you're a business manager, you're making deals. And I said, okay, we'll add that. We'll just add another tool to the tool belt.
Wow. Is it where your career as a strategic advisor came through?
Yeah. And the advising is one of those things. I need freedom. I need freedom to, if I can help you, let me just do the gifting, it's from God, and I'm trying to be a good steward of the gift. Let me just do what I need to do. Yeah. So whether you call me an advisor, a business manager, a consultant, that's up to the client. I'm just going to try to do it all so we can get to whatever those next steps are for the client that we've talked about. And some of those words are just fancy words. Some of those times they're legal words because in America it's so litigious that you have to, an agent might get taxed in a certain state versus an advisor is just an advisor. So, yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. So also you've expressed your passion for expanding global mobility through citizenship and residency collection. Could you also elaborate on this interest and its significance, especially in today's world?
More fancy lingo to say I'm collecting citizenships and residencies so I can travel the world and putting it on, line so people can say, what is that? I think right now a lot of people, especially after COVID, said, you know what, we were nomadic. We could live anywhere and still work. I have always wanted to travel the world. I've seen at least 25 countries. My children, I believe, have seen over 10. And they're not even, I have a 14 right now and a 10-year-old. The thing is, how do you want to do life? Me, I want to have options. In America, college is very expensive. I tell people college might not be right for you because of the expense, but you could go next door to Mexico and get that same college for free or $1,000 a year if you were a resident. I'm a resident of Mexico as well. My kids are, my wife is. So therefore, I'm setting up my kids to have options. And, my wife being from Cameroon, my kids can go to school in France for, I believe, a discounted price. So we're just collecting these different citizenships and residencies, and that's all that means.
But how does one get to move from one place to the other?
Well, you don't necessarily have to move, but you can visit and travel, and you have to know the laws to be nomadic. But you can't just come to South Africa and just, your first day here, make me a citizen. No. First, kind of, see if you can adjust, then learn the laws. Do you need a visa if you need to stay more than 90 days? If you're old enough, you can even get, a retirement visa. So I say it as you find out what the rules of the game are, you play by the rules, do it legally, and get it. There's so many, from Mexico to Panama to Colombia. There's so many ways of getting residencies. Malta, there's so many ways of getting residencies and citizenships. Some are very expensive. I'm getting the cheap ones first.
You always get the cheap ones.
I'm getting the cheap ones first. In Monopoly, I buy the cheap properties first usually, because with those cheap properties, you can put houses, you put hotels, and with that hotel money, then you can go get the bigger stuff.
Thank you, learning from the best. So tell me, how has your experience at Grambling State University influenced your career path and the way you approach your work?
So with Grambling, I learned some things that I probably would not have learned at any other school. I remember when I was in Grambling, I couldn't even go to Grambling for the first semester because I didn't pay my bill at the other school yet. And I needed, because of how poor of a student I was in high school, I needed those transcripts to say, look, I need to take this class. But Grambling, I saw for the first time Black people walking as a unit. I said, there's 5 or 7 Black people together. Now, we would walk as kids in California, but we would get stopped by the police. I said, why don't we have this in California? And someone tapped me on my shoulder and said, because in California, 3 is a gang. So 3 of you walking is a gang, and that's why we always get stopped. I said, that's why. In Grambling, I saw that in peace. No fighting, no this and that. So it opened my mind to say, okay, the rules of this game, we need to try to change. I met my wife in Grambling. I met some of my closest friends in Grambling, mainly, from various walks of life, who some lived and grew up in Japan, but they were Black. They were ostracized because they were in Japan. Some were Cameroonians, Nigerians, and everybody, came together. So it just, again, at California, you meet everyone, you see everyone, the cultures. It just helped with life.
Wow. So you run a Coleman Public Relations. Can you tell us about what it does, Coleman Public Relation and Consulting Firm?
Coleman Public Relations and Consulting Firm, the service is in the name, I like to say.
Yeah.
So what we really want to do is do life with our clients. We pick a select group of clients. They could be influencers, content creators, they could be medical doctors, nurse practitioners, lawyers, they could be plumbers, I don't care, athletes, whatever. We want to make sure that they get the righteous deal, because most talent, as the industry calls it, they don't know if they should be getting $500 or $50,000. Because we've done this long enough and we have friends that are older than us in this game, I can always call someone. I'm helping them do life so they don't retire broke. Because most people in this thing, they retire broke because everyone's pulling from them. I need money here, I need money here. Your lawyer needs money, your accountant needs money, your agent needs money, your manager needs money, your road manager needs money. Everyone needs money. And these guys, a lot of times, and ladies, don't have a plan, a financial plan. So we want to make sure that we get you notoriety, of course, you have a strategy, but also that we get you with financial advisors, that this is what they do, experts in their field, lawyers, this is what they do, because we don't know it all.
So do you think most people that take advantage of the artists, is it because they know that the artists are lacking knowledge, the talent is lacking knowledge?
Yeah.
Or is it just for the sake of it's for me to take?
Oh, it's for you to take, and then you also have family. They need their money, they need their thing. It's one of those things that, why are artists, and I'm speaking for American artists, they're going to the same lawyers that ripped the last person off. They're going to the same agents that ripped the last person off. Elvis's manager, it took more than 50% of his money on paper. He probably took way more off paper because Elvis didn't know when it was coming in and when it was coming out. If you ever watch his movie, it's crazy. Michael Jackson, Kobe Bryant, we're seeing how fortunes don't even go to their loved ones. in how the industry will put a plant. They'll put somebody there to be your friend and then guide you, just to guide you back to the people who ripped off the last people. And very few people talk about this and call names out. And so for us, we're a boutique company, but we have a reputation of not ripping anyone off. Actually, have a reputation, if we do a brand deal, and sometimes there's kickbacks, we give our clients the kickbacks back. They say, where's this money coming from? We paid you. Why are you paying us some more money? Because we get our retainer, we get our percentage that we agreed upon. Don't know if I can do a righteous deal getting a kickback, because I'll get you in every deal. And you might burn out the client, like a tires or a horse. You might just say, yeah, this is a great deal because of the money I'm going to get back on the kickback, especially in tech deals.
Yeah.
Those things have, they can make you rich.
So you were teaching me, most of the time today you were teaching me about retainer. Can you tell the viewers what retainer is?
Oh, the retainer is just the guaranteed fee. In America, your lawyer is going to get a retainer, especially if you're in trouble. So it's just the guaranteed fee. And, like you and I had talked about, we can't stand a timesheet. Clock in, clock out.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. I mean, it's at times we need it to survive, but it's just crazy.
But
it doesn't help you to make a fortune.
Can't be creative on a timesheet. I might be at 3 a.m. Am I supposed to say at 3 a.m. to, 3:25, I had the best idea that just made you a whole bag of money or progress?
Yeah. So as a licensed sports agent, what are some of the key challenges you face in representing the athletes? And also, how do you overcome them?
So the biggest challenge we have is you have giants in this game who have way more money, way more experience, way more clout. But what I always tell anybody is they're not smarter than us.
Yeah.
They're not smarter than you. They just have more experience. They just have more privilege. They can go and say to an athlete, I'm going to buy your mom and dad a car, a house, give them a job, move them. We're in a business model. We're not doing any of that. We are going to make sure you don't retire broke. People go watch the Serena movie, King Richard, and see how in tennis they grab these folks as kids. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just the way things are done. At 13, 14, you can grab a kid and say, we're going to put the whole family on a salary. Everyone's going to be middle class or upper middle class. Sometimes they make them rich, but they are going to make a lifetime deal on them. We aren't doing any of that because, one, we're not going to buy everybody a car. We don't have that type of money yet.
Yeah.
And if I did that deal, I have to eat off you for a lifetime to make my money back, because it's expenses. And it's just like a music deal when they give the artist, a bag of money, a house. Every time you go in the studio, the label's charging. And what we're saying is, if you're a great talent and you're going to be great, you're going to be the next LeBron, Serena, Michael Phelps, whoever, let's do this life together. Let's take our time, just like LeBron did with Rich Paul. Let's become friends. We're going to become family. We're going to watch over you. I tell clients and anybody who will listen, in America, if you can't live off $10,000 a month, maybe you can't live. So if you do get access to a whole bunch of money, first try to live off the little. See how it changes not just your mind, but the people around you.
Oh, yes.
Woo, that part right there. You start seeing your mother, your father. Oh, going back to Elvis, his own father in the movie, watched him drop and said, no, he can still play. So the challenges are the money and getting the talent, who some of them might not be broke, but brak. And they might say, I need money now. I need to eat. And okay, delayed gratification is one of those things that if you learn that now, you'll have such a much richer life, because there's always something new that you want to try or buy. Yeah. So how do we get over it? Educating our clients, our potential clients, and saying, this is what we do, this is what we don't do. I'll come get you out of a bar or send somebody at whatever time of the night if I can, and I will. But I'm not going to be able to give you 50 grand because you're at the casino and you owe someone. That part we're not doing.
How do you stay updated with the latest trends and development?
The late great Miles Monroe, who is no longer with us, him and his wife would talk about reading a book a week. When I learned that via YouTube, because I never had met him, I started reading a book a week. Life changed. The things that you know is how you grow. When you think people know things and they're like, no, I don't know that. And they say, where'd you learn that? In a book. So where school is great because it forces you to read and focus on a discipline, if you're not reading outside of that, the things that don't even have anything to do with whatever that discipline is. Nurses should be reading something on business.
Oh, yeah.
Plumbers, mechanics, whoever. You should be reading something on business and how to do it because business globally is the only way that you can have a certain type of freedom where you can control your time. If not, you're always being told somewhere to clock in, clock out, even with the school system. You know, we homeschool our kids. They have a teacher in Cameroon. I don't want to be on anyone's time but God's timing.
Wow. So do you feel like homeschooling is way better than taking the kids to school, and why? Is it because of the system, the school system, or?
Well, in America, you know, things are violent. You have school shootings. You have people can just call in and say, hey, there's a bomb. And then I remember we were living in a very posh neighborhood in Florida before we could find our house that we could buy. And I saw the police out there with the bomb helmets, bulletproof bomb vest. And I said, let me pray for this school and what's going on. God bless them. But I had peace knowing that my kids were just behind the fence at home. Because as a parent, I saw the look of some of the parents. They can't go in. I'm not waiting for the police. If we're having this much of a threat, I'm going in. So that's one thing. Two, we have a lot of, in Florida, things that are going on that just some are right, some are wrong legally. And I don't want to trust the school system to teach my kids and tell them who they can and who they can't be. That's a parent's job. Now, on the other side, I'm privileged because we're in a two-parent household. And I'm able to, even though I raised my kids, and you saw the pictures, and I showed you, you know, the baby be strapped here, strapped to the back. I have to know that some parents are single parents. Maybe not by choice. Maybe someone passed away. Maybe somebody's deployed in the military. So, but we try to help people even if they are single parents, and we show them how we're doing it. And we've successfully been able to help some people who are interested, even if it is a one-parent household, even if they don't make, you know, whatever people think a good amount of money is, because I don't know what a good amount of money is. But those are some of the things. I want freedom. I want to be nomadic. I want to be where I want to be, like I'm here with you now.
Yeah. Wow. So what role do you believe sports play in shaping the society, and how does your work as a sport agent contribute to this?
My work and why I even got a license is I wanted to be legal. And this was part of that 12-year-old dream. I had a full service firm with all type of talent, and athletes were part of that. I thought I was going to be one. They're in my family. They're, you know, very, very close to me, but I didn't know enough. Athletics, we grew up playing sports. It teaches you just, you know, how to rely on other people, but also how to show up for other people, because you just can't leave somebody. You know, I played football. I'm waiting for someone to knock this person down, but I also might have to knock someone down for someone else. But I played so many sports. I even did bowling. I did, you know, I wasn't good, but I did basketball summer league. I did baseball. There were some things I was great at, some things I'm not. But, you know, it just helps you kind of just be a kid and have fun and just play. And those are some of the best times that a kid, I think, can have. Yeah.
So which sport in particular do you say, if you could get an opportunity to go and play that sport again, you literally run to it?
It would have been between boxing and football. Probably football, but the boxing, I still think if Mayweather wants to let me get in one of those fights, I'll jump in, you know. I don't know how much dancing and everything I'll do. And, you know, but in boxing, it just takes one punch. And anybody can, get somebody. But yeah, that's, if Mayweather's out there, Mayweather. The Paul brothers aren't the only ones you can give a chance to.
Most definitely. So tell me, in your opinion, what are some of the most important qualities for success in the field of sports management and consulting?
I think being honest and being consistent. If you can be honest with yourself of what you are going to do and what you're not going to do, and then you can be consistent. Most people aren't consistent. They say they're one way, then somewhere down the line they forget that they said they were going to show up and that they were going to be there. And let's treat this like a soldier. We're all in the same army, Marines, whatever, Navy. We need everybody to show up.
Yeah.
And we need that we protect each other. So those are the two things. Because, in this business, people just say anything sometimes to get money. And then you're like, man, you say you can edit? You say you can make websites? You say you can write? And what is this, is this pig Latin or chicken scratch? Because this isn't writing.
Have you been in a situation where you overpromise and underdeliver?
Personally, no. But I've had team members say things and do things. And what has happened is it's made me, one, reevaluate how we're training people, what we're, how involved we are. Because sometimes you think, oh, this is my guy. He can handle this client. And then you hear what he said versus what's on the paper, which will then make me I've done it once that I can think of where I'm now going to be working 3 to 6 months to cover this. And of course, he's gone into the wind on the next project because, him and I have had an agreement and things happen in people's lives. So I don't want to overpromise. I can't make anybody famous.
Yeah.
I can make you infamous probably, but you might have to go to jail right after. And then we're going to say, go check in our book, check on track number 7. So that's that. I don't overpromise. When you hire me, you're hiring me for the last 20 years of work, for what you can read online, the recommendations. Nobody can say I took their money. Nobody can say we did not work hard. But no, we don't make any promises. And companies that do that, I cringe, because unless you own, MTV or Forbes, you can't promise anybody anything.
Yeah.
Even if that's your friend you have at lunch, you don't own it. So how can you promise that you're going to get them on there unless there's some payola, which in the States, payola in certain situations can be illegal. It happens every day.
Did they arrest you?
No, they usually fine you.
So people, they don't pay to get their music video, in and all stuff to get into
It happens. There's ways of, instead of paying to get on the radio, they say buy some advertising, and it's yeah. So
it's payola, but it has a nice corporate rate for it.
There's corruption in America, in the politics like everywhere else, but they don't call it corruption. They call it lobbying. They have nice words for these things. So I paid the congressperson or the senator some money for a dinner that was $5,000 a plate, just giving an example. And that's not supposed to influence that person. So it's
Definitely
just...
it will.
Of course.
Yes. Can you share a memorable success story or project from your career that highlights the impact of your work as a fixer and strategic advisor?
I love the work that we're doing with African Diaspora News Channel. Phil started in the bathroom, and then I met him. He had his, green screen studio, and he has something even more, just matured now. And being able to take his audience and set up the, programs with the real estate tour companies, and it just be a whole collective of just talent. I love working in teams and everyone doing their part and seeing the faces of these, primarily, mostly the Black Americans and Black Europeans, but we've even had a Malungu come, and he had a great time in Kenya, and it was like, we could do this for everybody. Everybody come to Africa through this lens of a cultural lens, and not just see safaris, but see the people, touch the people, and also do some good, because all of these companies, like the Real South Africa that's here in South Africa, they are just changing lives. People are coming to retire. America, beautiful country, but you need to get outside of, sometimes what and grow.
Yeah.
So that is great work. Great work with my wife's CNA to MD.com business that she has, and helping even just, publish her books that she wants to do, and my children's books. And I mean that, my children's books, London and Sydney. Like, I love this work because this is just like God's plan. And it's like, why are you using such a broken vessel? Why me? Why do I get to be a part of it? But then I think these are like the dreams and things that would keep me up as a kid. And people make you seem like you're crazy. Like, how can you do all that? You don't know anybody. You don't have the connections, the resources. But if you keep, again, getting better 1%, sometimes just these things just come, and then you're like, wow, I did that? When you're doing it, you never realize. I don't know half the things I'm doing, the impact. I'm just doing them and saying, let's try. Some things have worked. Let's keep trying.
Wow. So you don't even keep the records of them to say, I've done this, I've done this.
If you start doing that, there's some things I have to really tame my tongue, because if you start patting yourself on the back, if I wanted to break the internet, I'd use other vernacular and words. But I'm not on my own job.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about what the next thing is and how we are going to impact someone else. It's usually, how do we help someone else? How do we, protect someone else? How do we help their dream become something bigger? And within that, that's part of my purpose. And if you know your purpose and you figure out your passions, like, life is like it's merrily, 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 merrily. Life is but a dream, they would tell us in the fairy tales. And it's really like that. But you got to have a plan for that dream. You just can't be dreaming. Where's your plan? What's the strategy? And that's what CPRfirm.com, that's my short handle of the website. That's what we do. We figure that out.
Can you share with us some highlights from your 2 decades of experience as a business manager across various sectors, such as legal, media, sports, and government?
As I often mentioned, with the Africa Diaspora, CN8MD, LondonandSydney.com, and the FomenkiPublishing.com, all these things, just so many stories in that. And so many times I've been told, you can't do that. I think that's the biggest thing. If you tell me I can't do it, I say, oh, okay. Now we really have a really good problem to solve. Oh, yeah. And so there's been so many times I've sat in conferences, even the International Christian Retail Conference, and I think they've kind of called it something else now, but ICRS is what it was called. I said, I don't know how I got them to allow me to speak. And I didn't pay them a dime, because most people had to pay. But we did the first, and then I brought in my friend Trey Dungy from Urban Home Entertainment, who I wanted to connect you with, him and his dad, Barrett. We did the first hip-hop Christian conference. Like, it's just a little room in a big conference. We had, our little room, but journalists showed up in the space, and I was like, I like this, because I got the podium. My big mouth got me in to talk and do it for free, which many people had to pay. But then I brought in a friend and said, look, he's doing some great things too, and they have Urban Home Entertainment, but they also have Faith Works and other things, and I want to win with a team, because that's how you make a dream happen, with a team.
And also, I just experienced you and the African Diaspora News Channel team, how you guys work. It's like you make it look like, it's like you're not working. I kept on asking myself, are these people working or what? But you do make things happen. And only when we come back, we realize, oh God, there's so much content that was taken. There's so much of great people that gathered in one room and literally connected. But it did not feel like that. What is it? What are the skills that one needs to be able to build without having to pressurize themselves? Because you don't do it with pressure unless we don't see that. Because I did not see pressure anywhere. I just saw people like we were just moving, but things were happening while we were moving.
We have known each other for some time now. I've worked with Phil, I think, about 8 years. Brother Sharif, the nicest person. And it's just, everybody has no ego. Everyone knows what they're doing. Everyone's listening to everyone. You know, no one is scared of anything unless it's Brother Sharif scared of the big Rottweiler dogs, right? But
Oh my God, you're exposing me, but I like it. Yes.
but you know, Shaw Films is his company. Shaw Films 35, I believe, is his Instagram handle. It's just because really, you know, Phil being it's his business, everybody just be chill because we're all just naturally chill and we all have our strengths. We all have, you know, our weaknesses. You know, if you have me trying to watch hippos in South Africa, I'm going to flip out because I don't come to Africa to see any animals. I come in here to see people. So it's really just letting everyone do. The reason why it works is because I'm allowed to use my talents. Brother Sharif is allowed to use his talents. And everyone else on the team is allowed to use their talents and do what they need to do. And it doesn't mean that we always see eye to eye. But what we don't do is disrespect each other. We don't have to argue about that. So, okay, just a different opinion. That's fine. Oh, and it just goes hand in hand. Everyone's just so laid back because we are having a time of the life. This is a dream, and we try to make it anti-corporate. We don't want it to be corporate and stuffy. We want it to be family and friends.
No, that makes sense. I remember I was trying to pop some corporate stuff on Phil. He was like, yo, wait, I don't do deep corporate. And I'm like, okay, explain. How do you do it? Because you're doing it very well, and it's like growing so big. And also your people that you guys are working with, the freedom. Also when they come and they have to do their thing, they're not scared. There's no one shrinking. It's like everybody does it with freedom.
I will shake that out if you come and try to be small. Everybody has a purpose, and that you can start with one position and you can grow, and just let your opinion be known. You know that. You have to kind of curtsy and, oh, do you mind? We're not doing that. You're a grown person, or you're just a person, period. Because we might hire kids at one point. We're not there yet, but we might, you know, if kids have talent. I truly believe keeping young people. At 12, I told you I had ideas. I had nowhere to express them, and, you know, and that's what Nipsey Hussle, may he rest in peace and power. He said the guy knows he's a genius. He just has no platform to explain it. This is pure poetry. It's just, it's a dream come true, and we all just enjoy it.
As the business manager for the African Diaspora News Channel, what specific contribution have you made to the channel's growth and reach?
Oh, I'm one grain of sand. So Phil could only answer that. You know, I don't know. Just running my big mouth and saying, look, I found this out. You know, I've worked and went into the cracks and the crevices, and I found this person or that person. But yeah, only Phil can answer that, because again, when you're doing, you just don't know. We're throwing things at the wall. If it sticks, it sticks. If not, okay, we'll try to throw it again. Because sometimes, you know, you'll have a vision and a person won't be ready for it. And sometimes you can see things coming down the line and you say, okay, I got to protect this person. But only he could truly answer that, because then your head starts getting too big and you just think that, oh, I'm the captain of the ship and this and that. I love being able to sit in the background and watch. And I love that when people, you know, when I'm not in a presidential shirt or drip shoes, right? All South African brands that I love. And all of us will take a sponsorship deal from. All they have to do is reach out. If I can just watch, and they don't know who I am. And when they find out, you know, it's just like, it's nice. It's just nice to be in the background. So yeah, I don't know how to answer that.
And we love the love that you have for South Africa, for Africa as a whole. Also, like, can we talk about your drip? Your whole drip from head to toe.
We can talk about it if they can see it. Boom, boom. I don't know if I need to stand up, but, you know, this is who we are. A lot of times in America, we're fish out of water. And so we're trying to put on a corporate suit and, you know, hope I don't mess up the mic, but, you know, tie in and just cufflinks and all that. But this is much more comfortable, like many presidents, including Mandela was. But many presidents are wearing this now.
They should all.
Yeah.
Mostly all.
They should all. And we should all just be ourselves and not try to be anybody else. Because the world is changing. AI is changing.
To hear about AI, how have you successfully integrated cutting-edge technologies like AI, Web3, and NAS, which is NAS, into your company solutions, and what benefits have you observed from this integration?
Well, when you talk about NAS, the network attached storage, knowledge that I have is from a company that I worked for, and I was able to do some nice things. When I think about it,
Yeah.
do a Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas, which is the biggest consumer electronics show in the country. You have to go to Asia, I believe, to get a bigger one. And I was able to do some things where, just with the budgets to be like, wait, we can do that? So me just being a nerd, just loving the computer as a kid, geeking out on it, figuring out. I learned how to type by being in the chat rooms, arguing and debating. That's how I learned how to type. It wasn't from school. From school, I'm like, this is boring. You get on that chat room and get in the right argument or romantic conversation, ooh, them fingers start moving quick. Reading books like The Future is Faster Than You Think by, I say doctor because he's a medical doctor. He doesn't refer himself, but Peter Diamandis. Reading those books and seeing what's already happening, not just in theory, but what people are doing. Going to the conferences that no one else is going. Maybe everybody else is a scientist or whatever, but going there, tapping in, that's what this is. It's just getting the game. That's what I say. We call it game.
Yeah.
You can give good game, you could give bad game. Your uncles could give you good game, bad game. Your mother, your father, but you also have to go seek game because a lot of people nowadays, and at least in America, say, oh, I know. They know everything that they're dumb. They're dumb and broke because they don't know, but they're not willing to learn. Sometimes when you're sitting with the chiefs, you be quiet.
You learn from them.
Nainda.
Wow, like I'm sitting here. I wish I can so I can learn from you because the wisdom that is coming from you, it's what we need. Could you elaborate on the successful tours you orchestrated to African countries, engaging over 100 network supporters? How did these tours contribute to the channel's objective, talking about African diaspora news channel?
Africa has always been, I remember my first time coming to South Africa, for every person they know, just Mr. Africa. There goes Mr. Africa. He's going to tell us something about Africa. The tours came about because we wanted to bring Phil and any other clients that want to go to Africa. The Ethiopian government in America, actually, I believe in the LA branch, invited Phil to Ethiopia and made it easy with the plane tickets. I think, we had to pay the tax, right? The company had to pay the tax, but it made it a lot cheaper. And then, they handled the hotel. I think they were going to handle some other things and logistics. We then said, let's bring the audience with us. And we've done 2 tours in Kenya, 2 in South Africa, and we did 1 in Ghana. We did not go on that one, but we were basically just the marketers. There were some things that popped up personally that we could not, go there. Yeah. But the lives that have changed, we have people who have gone back to Africa 3 months later. Some have stayed in Africa. So I think about the impact, especially when you watch on the news, a young black man, Ahmaud Arbery, just jogging in his neighborhood and 3 white guys gunned him down because they didn't think he belonged in his own neighborhood. I always think that the more time they're here in Africa, that's not going to happen here in Africa. I don't care even if you're in like a war zone and you're an American, why would you be in a war zone? But those things don't happen in Africa, at least with people from America or Europe, because once they hear the accent, they're like, oh, you're not, whatever is going on, you're not part of it. And I have not heard of, thank God, of any Americans having, those issues. Now, Americans, there are issues because we think we can buy everything here, and then we think we can move here, and, I don't like that part. You really have to decolonize your mind. But those tours have been so impactful, and the tears that you see in people's eyes. People here are 70, some people are 60, 50, and they're like, I should have came here a long time ago. They lied to me about Africa. They think that, they're going to see Serafina. And they're seeing people.
Oh, God.
Yeah. They're seeing people hold hands of all. Many guys were saying, oh, the white woman talked to me in the store. I didn't think it was going to happen like that. The Indian woman talked to me in the store, and then I think I could even date that Indian woman. And it's like, well, first of all, just know you're going to date the whole family.
Yes.
No matter who,
Yeah.
you deal with Indian and Africa, you're dating the whole family.
That's what it is.
And do you have a place to store all that gold if it's an Indian for that wedding? Learn first.
Oh my God, Kellen, yes. Managing business affairs on the continent of Africa can present unique challenges. So how do you navigate these challenges while ensuring the smooth operation of the African Diaspora News Channel?
Well, the biggest challenge for doing anything in Africa is to make sure you tell people who you are again and who you aren't. Because a lot of times, again, I'm also a citizen of Sierra Leone. And I think that in Ceylon, people think that, when they see the American, are you coming from America, you're going to be able to pay for all of their, things or give them a little something. And America is hard. You're always running. And to come to your country, especially if you're a citizen, and for everyone to have their hand out as soon as you get off the airport, it's like, why do we have to do this? Can I first get in? Can you have a business plan for me? Why, as a grown man, because it's usually men asking. Very few women ask for money, and I've done, some surveys of this. Don't ask me for money. Ask me for an opportunity. Yes. Show me how I'm going to make my money back, because my Peking, my children, they also have to eat. So, I can't just give. And again, this is what athletes run into once they sign a check. Everyone has their hand out. So, with the African diaspora, we're building a team. Kenya and South Africa are not as, they're not like that. We have some great partners and finding good people like yourself. I was so happy that we were able to do a deal with you. And the man behind the camera, you should put his picture right there.
Yes.
This, Ernest,
Ernest,
Sir Ernest, it's just finding the good people, right? And that good people usually hang around good people. True. So that's what it's all about. Because I only have 77 more years here on Earth. Unless something happens.
I like that number every time you say it.
It's, we want the full 120, a healthy 120, unless, something changes and technology and God says something different. But I also want to be in my purpose, and I want to be at peace when this is all done, so he can say, job well done. For all the flaws that I've had, I want him to say, job well done.
Yes. Thank you for the opportunity. For me and Ernest, we're really grateful. And for the other people that are coming, we're really grateful for what you guys did for us.
I thank you, and I thank Renelle Way for introducing us to you, and that she went out of her way to be, we call like a super employee or team member, because I don't like employee. I like team members. You know why?
Yeah.
Employees, Dave Ramsey said this, they come late, leave early, and steal while they're there.
Oh, yeah.
Team members feel like it.
I did not know that. Shout out to the lady.
Yeah, even if it's a pen, right? Even if it's paper. Oh, I might need this paper from the printer. Whatever it is, little things that people say, oh, I'm not stealing. I'm just, no. If you didn't ask, or if you didn't have permission, now, if you need it for your work, that's one thing. But I thank, our team. I think, how we were able to go around Naledi, and even our probably new team member, Keisha, who drove us around.
Oh my
and
God. Incredible.
Yes.
We have lots of ideas. Oh, she's amazing. Man, God is good. He always make sure that you mingle with the right people.
Amen. But you have to have discernment so you can get away from the bad people. You have to.
How does one get to learn to discern?
I think it's just life. Sometimes you can hear something and you're like, oh, I've heard that before. I know where this person is coming from. But those scriptures will do a better job of me telling. And if you really study those scriptures and ask for that discernment, I don't think he'll ever fail you. Now, you might not listen.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, that sounds too sweet.
Yes.
But, that's how I believe, everybody, after we're done with this, they need to go back into that book and say, because that book's never lie. It will give you a roadmap to life. Yes. We're not going to be perfect, We know that. The book tells us that too, but those scriptures, and I'm talking about those Ethiopian scriptures that have more than just the 66 books, if folks are ready, because that's an older version.
Which one is that?
The Ethiopians have the one of the oldest, if not the oldest, Bible.
The Yamas?
It's the full Bible, but there's more pages, more
Is it
chapters.
something like this?
It might be. It might be something like that. I'd have to go through it and see. But you really have to be ready for that. And, in America, we had the slave Bible first. Things were obey your master type thing, be submissive. Then when they got the 66 books after slavery, right, it just made me think when studying, what are they trying to hide? So in Ethiopia, I'm asking the priest, what are they trying to hide? Why don't they want? But what if they only giving you what you can handle? This whole thing is an algorithm. Maybe certain algorithms can't handle this because for whatever reason, I don't know, I haven't figured it out yet.
So talk to me about leading a diverse team because it can be both rewarding and challenging. So how do you foster collaboration and synergy among your team members, especially in a dynamic industry like where you at, which is media?
Goes back to California. Grew up in diversity. Learning people. Just seeing different personalities. There is no, just because you're Chinese, you act this way. Just because you're Haitian, you act this way. You can see the same things in the Chinese couple, in the jealousy that you would never expect. And that happens with the Puerto Rican couple, the Colombian couple. So it's just learning people and hearing things and being able to draw back and say, oh, okay, I know what this is. Okay, even when people are being ugly to you, it's like, oh, they're insecure about this because we didn't do anything to them. So now let's let them know they can put their guard down. They have nothing to prove to us. And I used to work with kids in group homes, so they didn't have families. I've worked with kids who were rich and they did drive-bys. This one child, he was a white guy who did a drive-by on pretty much his friends. And he came into a group home setting, and his parents, I think, paid something like $15,000 a month, just so when he could go to court, the judge could say, oh, he's reformed. That was the legal strategy.
You are a business manager for the Booker Law Firm. How do you apply your expertise in streamlining operations and enhancing client communications to ensure the firm's success?
One, that is how we do business. This was Phil's lawyer.
Yeah.
This was someone for a couple of years. I said, I want to work with you. I want to do something because I saw the star in her. The firm's success, she was already successful. What we just wanted to do, just like Phil and anybody that we were pretty much working with, they're already got their party started. They just need some other type of strategy. Maybe there's some hiring, maybe there's some firing, or some suggested replacing that we do. But I always wanted to be a lawyer. There's some things that just didn't happen, and I'm really loving what I do now. I always say I might grab the degree just so I can do it and be like John Grisham and start writing books with the the law background. I just wanted to. I saw something in her, and when she said yes, we said, let's make it more of an online presence. Let's work on some things. Let's, figure out where do you want to go? Because not everybody wants to make $10 million. Some people want to be parents. Some people want to have love in their life. So it's where do you want to be? And she is such a wild personality, just full of fire, full of just excitement. I love it. And so, the best is yet to come with her. So it's a lot of in the who we let go and who she could work with, because we've got her like a small team that she's doing a great job in dealing with serious cases, life and death, just dealing with a hitman case, dealing with injustice, but she's still volunteering her time to help people like Daryl George. If people Google that, a young boy who got kicked out of school for having locks in his hair, even though they were neat. Yes. And it was against the law, but the school, they're playing in between this gray area, but just for wearing locks, never had been in trouble, nice young man, doesn't even want to be famous because I've done a little media training with him. These are the things that she's passionate about, dedicated her time to in the community.
Consulting and compliances, they are very vital aspect of business management. So how do you ensure that the Booker Law Firm remains compliant with regulations while also providing top-notch consulting services to the client?
Well, I get to learn because there's some things that we started off doing and we had to go back maybe 10 or more videos and say, oh, we have to take that part out because lawyers they can advertise, but they have to get it approved by their bar association. The bar association charges you $100 every time you want it approved. So every advertisement, that would have been a lot of money, and you're looking at someone's law license. So we had to go back, play in between the lines, and we get to learn, okay, we can't do that. And so we're learning. That's a great learning thing, but what we do for any client in the marketing is learn their industry. Sometimes we know it already. Sometimes we have to be like, okay, hold on. This is how this works. This is how this area works. Not every area works the same. And being honest really can help you. Right now online, there's somebody in your Instagram DM saying, you want to be on Forbes. And they say, we guarantee you to be on Forbes. And they will put you on a Forbes-ish link, but it's a backlink. So if somebody puts your name in Forbes, it will never pop up. They have to have the direct link. So did the company lie and say they didn't put you in Forbes front page and they never said they were? But we're not lying to stay compliant. We're not going to lead our people on. We're going to just give straight, honest advice. And if you like straight up, honest advice and you treat us as, peers, will be great team to work with.
Wow. Okay, let's talk about your creativity when it comes to authoring, because you are an author also. Chief, what is it that you don't do?
Don't lie. So the books, I mentioned John Grisham earlier. I want to, always write books. It's a great retirement plan. Books don't necessarily get you rich, but if you have something to say, get it out on a piece of paper. Again, write that vision down and make it plain. That's where it starts. And that's something that they can't take from you. They couldn't take that from Mandela. They can't take that from anybody who's sitting in a prison justly or unjustly. They can't take that from any child who all they have is a pen and a paper and you have no TV to watch because maybe you even have no power. Just start writing and get those stories out. You don't need to have TV always. Be the TV. And so the children's book series is something special because I wanted to be a cool dad and I wanted to show my kids these are the places you've been. I've made some animation or illustration with a team. Boom, we are here. Wow. This is your business to take and do whatever you want because it's your story to tell. You can tell it for your life and beyond. And so I just thought it was a cool thing to do. And I started it when I didn't even have the money to do it. You're talking about animation and illustration can be very expensive. But then there's a way of finding a way to make it fit your pocket. So, and then I made a publishing company. You know why? Because libraries don't necessarily buy from what they call self-published authors, but they do buy if you create a publishing company and you are one of those authors. So I wanted libraries to buy my books more than anything, so then everybody could have access to it.
So if South African libraries want to buy your books, are you going to source some for them?
They can, and libraries know how to buy books, and they know how to go to Ingram or Baker and Taylor, and the book is able to be bought through those lines. And they have their own, like music on the radio, you know who's playing what. They have a CAT system, at least in America. But if libraries in South Africa, Cameroon, China want to buy the books, they can get the books that way. We don't necessarily have to sell it to them directly. We would, but that's typically not how this game works.
So what was the reaction from London and Sydney when they see themselves on that animation book exploring the world? You should ask. What was the question that they asked you about it?
Oh, you know what? When you have them on, or even in 10 years, you ask me, because their reaction was, oh, okay, cool.
They're such cool kids.
Yeah, kids don't know. They're like, huh? Like I have glasses frames that I had designers make with cloth. I've had bedspreads or pillowcases made with their thing, and bare bones stuff, nothing too fancy. And they're like, okay. but I want to push self-esteem in kids,
Yeah.
especially women. And so I want you to see yourself in a very we don't write books. They're not black kids are traveling. They happen to be black, but there's no trauma, there's no drama. It's just kids traveling. So these books are for everybody. And sometimes people say, well, why is it like that? Because we have so many books that are just focused on your color. And that's not the first thing I want people to recognize. I want them to feel who you are, and so my wife has really taken the books to another level with her eye for design. Women, you guys have an eye for that. And really taking it to a whole nother level where our first book was great, but our next books have just been like, wow, it's blown me away. So I have ideas, and now I have a team, and they are bringing out some great, great, great ideas, better than mine.
That's beautiful. Let's talk about you co-founding the Vanguard Radiology, because it shows your entrepreneurial spirit. What motivated you to venture into the field of radiology, and what lessons have you learned from this experience in particular?
So my wife is a radiologist. I met her at 18 years old. She told me, don't date me because I'm going to be a doctor. I didn't know what that meant because I was on my way to go see Cash Money at the time. And going through this whole process, this is over 14 years of study, learning, extra, just work that physicians have to do. And one thing I've noticed is radiologists, when they're working in the hospital, it's that same timesheet corporate mentality.
Yeah.
So for you, and I worked and, we talked for years, maybe 2 years, to say, you should do your own thing. And if nothing else, if it doesn't grow outside of you, that's fine. But then when you are your own company, just like you being an author and having a publishing company, you can say what I'm going to read, how I'm going to read, and you have more power. And I think more radiologists, more physicians. I got this from when I worked in the hospital, when I was like maybe when I first met her. I got this game from Dr. Schrader. And I thank him still on Facebook to this day, because I said, look, we created this thing. Because he said, I don't work for the hospital. My company is contracted for the hospital, and I work for my company. So he had more freedom. Plus, at that time, he had an old beat-up car, and then he bought this beautiful Lexus that everybody was in awe of. But it was, a decade probably after medical school, after paying bills. And he really poured something into me, like some of the other doctors, like Dr. Juan. I was just a lonely file clerk, a student worker that came to work at the hospital because my mother got me the job. So I wouldn't be just doing nothing when I came home on holiday. And so, everybody has to work, right? You got to work or you don't eat. But that is why we created it. And it just sounds good that I'm co-founding, because it was, my idea to push. But you have to support your people. And that's what I do. I'm going to support my people and get excited when they want to do something. So now, we have different contracts with different people, and she's happier, I believe.
Wow. So beautiful. Such a beautiful teamwork. So you are hosting your show, the Diversified Game Podcast, that allows you to engage with wide range of guests. What inspired you to start this podcast, and what do you hope your listeners gain from these discussions that you facilitate?
I've always done media since probably middle school, so that's like 13, 14. I've had other podcasts, and sometimes I call it my diary, where I just have to get stuff off. I don't want to repeat it, so I put it on the podcast or I put it on the YouTube. Diversified Game happened when two of my friends who we would work together, I said, you guys have your own business. Our conversation should be recorded as much as we can. So we put something together. They did a lot of the, the logo, the behind the scene, getting the system, the stuff that I don't need to do all that. But they did it excellently. So we started talking about our business. Then we started interviewing people, because that's what I've been doing for the last 20 plus years, interviewing people. Like, I'd love to have you on right after this. So we did that. And then some things changed between their relationship and they didn't want to start showing up. And then, they started telling me, we're not really passionate about this podcast. We kind of made it about you, and we were the supporting cast. And then I put it on video. And then we had a team member who was going through something physically. He didn't want to be on camera. People have their things, and they just weren't passionate. But I was. So now I interview entrepreneurs. I talk about how they started, sustained, and succeeded in hopes of showing somebody how someone else did it. Because so many times people say, "Oh, I don't know anyone." Like I was at 12. I don't know anyone. Now you get to know someone virtually, and you get to hear their story. No, they didn't have the money to start. No, they didn't have the friends and the know-how. But you can learn how they did it, and you'd be surprised. Not one person ever says somebody gave this to me. Even if their parents were prominent people, people still had to hustle and grind it out. Sleepless nights.
Your dedication to making a positive impact is evident in your diverse contributions. What drives you to pursue such varied interests, and how do you see these efforts aligning with your long-term goals?
Helping people. I want everybody to win. And I think everybody can win if they dedicate themselves and they stay consistent. So that's just the long-term goal. If you're always helping people, you will always have some type of position if you bring some value to people. And I've seen even on Netflix, The Black Godfather, and the late great Clarence Avant. There's people like Al Heyman who have helped Mayweather get to billionaire status, and many others who never does an interview because the boxing world and sports world hates him. I've asked his friends, will he do an interview? I want to be known as somebody who has impacted those lives of people, because those lives impact other lives. And this is how we win. This is with unity, we all win, I like to say. That's my hashtag. With unity, we all win. So let's just keep winning and keep, everybody, and just finding our tribe. And our tribe doesn't always look like us. They don't always, sound like us, but they think like us.
Wow. Chief, thank you so much for such a transformation that you are. You are a transformation, and through your transformative mind, you transform others. Thank you so much.
Niabonga.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Kellen Coleman. You heard it from the chief himself. Make sure that you also transform other lives, because you never know the joy that comes with making sure that you inspire others, because when you inspire others, they get to inspire others, and it becomes a beautiful wheel. From myself and the Africa USA Radio team and Mr. Kellen Coleman, we say good night. Bye-bye.
AfricaUSARadio.com, home of African Gospel. Ekaya Beat.